Afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our UDC iLearn series. This is about getting started with Mac. My name is David Cerna. I'm an instructional technology specialist here on the Cal team. And Pat.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pat Cottrell. I am the information technology specialist and Blackboard administrator here on the Cal team.
Thank you, Pat. And Grace.
Hi, everyone. My name is Grace. I am an instructional designer and outcomes and assessment coordinator with C.A.L.
Thank you. So today we'll do a session goal of really getting started to know your Mac. If you just recently received a Mac or you're using a Mac here on campus, how do you get started, right? And part one, we'll talk about iCloud and some of the apps on the Mac ecosystem. We'll also talk about staying productive with some quick tips on getting started. And then we'll talk about next steps and Q&A. So our goal for this session is really by the end of this webinar, you should be familiar with the basic features of Mac, including navigation, iCloud, applications, and other useful tips to enhance productivity. And hello, thank you so much for joining. So let's go over part one. This is about iCloud. Pat will go over iCloud, how to access it, the iCloud apps, and also comparison between the Microsoft apps, the desktop apps that you have access to, and privacy and security settings. So go ahead, Pat, take it away.
Thank you, David. Yes. So let's talk a little bit about iCloud. iCloud, and I'll do a lot of comparisons here with things you already familiar with. But for those of you who aren't, iCloud is Apple's version of, let's say, Office 365, where you have a suite of applications in the cloud, as well as some free storage, which is usually around 5 GB of storage. Or if you're familiar with Google Drive, have a suite of applications that you can access in the cloud, and you also get some storage there as well. So that's how iCloud is set up. And when you launch, when you first get an Apple device, if you don't already have, if you do have an Apple device already, you should already have an iCloud account. But you can also create a new iCloud account for different devices if you choose to. It's just best to use the same one. That way you can synchronize all your information across those devices. So if you don't have an iCloud account, this slide here is showing you how you can sign in using your existing account, or you can create a new account just by circling create Apple ID, as you can see here in the slide, and that will bring you into another page, will allow you to input your information to set up that account.
And Pat, quick question. Do you recommend using our UDC accounts to set this up?
Well, no, because UDC sort of owns that domain in the Apple ecosystem. So you cannot use your UDC account to set up a iCloud account. In this example, I'm actually using my own Apple ID that I created just for my UDC device.
Excellent. Yeah. And, that's a good point because let's say that I want to sync up, what I'm using on my iPhone or iPad with my Mac. I'm using that same account in the Mac ecosystem as well.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Thank you, Pat.
All right. And so once you get into the iCloud account, this is an example of what you'll see. You're going to see all the applications that you have available to you, and you'll see your the type of plan that you have at the bottom. You have 5 GB of storage there. It's going to also monitor how much storage you're using, and also you can actually upgrade this plan. So the 5 GB is the standard, but you can actually upgrade this for more storage, because where it says data recovery, it will act as sort of like a backup system for anything that you may want to recover. If you delete it accidentally from your device, or if you lose your device, this iCloud can be set up to sort of act like a storage or a recovery space for you to keep all your content there. That way you can access it across different devices. And so let's get into the various applications. So if on the previous slide, you saw a picture of all the applications, And there's 3 applications that I want to go over. As you can see here, we're all familiar with PowerPoint, Word, and Excel. You know, we are a Office 365 shop here at UDC. But once you get into the Apple ecosystem, they have applications that work just like the Windows application. So, for example, in PowerPoint, the equivalent to PowerPoint in Apple would be Keynote. For Word, the equivalent in Apple would be Pages, and then in Excel, the equivalent in Apple would be Numbers. And since we've started this whole Apple initiative, I was a long time Google Sheets person, but I have since then converted over to Numbers, and Numbers is great. It's very, very easy, and maybe at some point we'll get into how these applications work and compare. But that'll be on a later conversation. Anything you want to add, David?
No, I think we were talking about earlier with Keynote, Pages, and Numbers.
Yeah.
You can export these as the Microsoft equivalent.
Yes, you
Um,
can.
but do you have any recommendations, Pat? Let's say I create a document in Pages, how I
Mhm.
can upload that to Blackboard so my students can access it. Any
Yeah.
tips?
Yes. So, like David mentioned, Apple is smart, and they know that when it comes to these types of applications, Microsoft sort of has everybody in the palm of their hands. So they've already incorporated the ability to convert their documents to something that PowerPoint, Word, or Excel can read. And not only that, but you can also export these files as a PDF file. And as we know, Blackboard does accept PowerPoint, Word, Excel, as well as PDF files.
Yeah, thank you, Pat.
Not a problem. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about is privacy and security. This is one area where Apple prides themselves. They pride themselves in having a high standard for users' privacy and security, but not just for data, but also for how apps access certain functions of your computer. Um, and this is an area that if you remember, when we talk about having a high standard, a few years ago, there was a case where the FBI wanted Apple to unlock a person's phone. It was a big case that I think they were, it was a case involving terrorism and things of that nature. And just to show you how committed Apple is to protecting your data, the CEO, Tim Cook, said, "No, I know you need this information. I know you're trying to solve a case, but we cannot give you access to this person's phone, this person's data." Uh, so even when it comes to, even if it comes to standing up to the government, just go to show you the risk Apple is willing to take when it comes to protecting you. And so when you talk about applications like, you can go to the next slide, David. We talk about installing additional third-party applications, and here are 2 applications that we use a lot here in UDC. Talk about WebEx and Zoom. When you're installing these types of applications, these applications want to be able to do certain things to your computer. And one of the things is screen recording, access to your microphone. A lot of times when you're installing these applications, you'll have to give these applications permission to utilize these settings. So again, it's not just data that Apple is trying to protect, but just the application's access to certain functions. Okay, and so there is a setting dedicated for privacy and security. If you want to go to the next slide, David, and this will show you how to get in those settings. You want to click on the Apple icon, and then from there you want to go into settings. And there you can see that where it says privacy and security. And you can see there's a list of various functions that you can sort of customize to give these apps permission to your system. But for these 2 particular apps, Zoom and WebEx, one thing that's going to need access to is screen recording, the ability to screen record. So if I click on screen recording here, here's the list of all the applications that require access that they need to be able to access my screen to do recordings and things of that nature. So all I have to do is toggle that switch on, and now I've given that application access to my computer in that particular way. But there's a list of other features as well. Any questions about this, team? Anything you want to add?
No, I think this is a good point to, to bring up because when you are using these apps for the first time,
Yes,
you do have to just make sure that those privacy and security changes have been modified.
absolutely. And a lot of times the application won't even work.
Mhm.
They won't even work until you give Apple permission to until you give the application permission to access these features of your computer. So this is how you would get into that part of your computer.
Yeah, and if anyone that's watching this recording or on the call has any questions about this, our email is calhelpdesk@udc.edu. I'll also put that in the chat box. But if you have any questions about getting started with Mac, or you just want to meet with us about what apps you can start using right away, just feel free to send us an email. We are more than happy to do that. And before we move on to the Grace's section, Pat, I know you are an avid Mac user, an Apple fan. What do you like about using the Mac?
Well, as I mentioned before, it has that iCloud integration. Um, it's a very reliable device. I have to say, I've owned many of them. I started using Mac in 2005, and I just have not looked back. PC has made a lot of great improvements over the years. I still use a PC.
Mhm.
I have both platforms, but when you talk about reliability, when you talk about getting a good return on your investment, because it is a very expensive investment to make. Every time I look at how much my next device is going to cost, I'm like, oh my God. As a matter of fact, I recently did that. I typically keep my Mac devices for 5 years. And then, as I start to approach that mark, I start to look at, okay, you know, what, what's next and how much is it going to cost? And, I'm sad to report that, it's the next Mac that I purchased for my use at home is going to be double what I paid for the last one. But again, it is very reliable and you will get a good return on your investment. And I don't just get rid of my Macs after 5 years. I actually turn the Macs that I use personally into my family computer. So I can so the family doesn't use it the way I do. So now you talk about getting another 5 years out of that Mac that I'm no longer using. So you talk about 10 years of a computer that's still functioning, even when I go off to sell it to someone else, which I typically do too. I sell my Macs on eBay after that 10-year mark. I sell them on eBay, and every Mac that I've purchased, every Mac that I've bought has always sold. Someone always wants to use it. So it's a great device.
Definitely. And, speaking of, iMac access here on campus, do faculty and students have access to iMacs on our floor?
They do. So we if you visit the sixth floor, building 71, we have not only brand new PCs that were deployed summer of 2023, but we also have iMacs uh, here on the sixth floor that's available to you. And they were recently updated with the latest Sonoma operating system that was released a few months ago.
Excellent. And I see a question in the chat box, Pat. I see the Google Chrome is not checked screen recording. Is that something to pay attention to?
Yes, if you're going to use Google Chrome for screen recording purposes, I don't typically use Google Chrome in that way. But if I were to try, it's going to tell me that you have to go into your settings, like what I see, like what you see here on the screen, and select that toggle to turn that feature on.
Excellent. And yeah, thank you, Pat. The whole C.A.L team, we are really well versed in using iPads, iPhones, and also Macs. So if you do have any questions, again, just feel free to send us an email. We'd love to work with you, collaborate, or troubleshoot if you're just getting started with a Mac. Yeah. Thank you, Pat.
Back to you, David. Sure.
So we're going to move on to some staying productive tips with Grace. So she'll talk about using iMovie. screenshots and screen recordings, especially for class lectures or things that you want to post on Blackboard, making a quick note, and then some general efficiency tips. So Grace, I'll go ahead and stop sharing.
Thank you so much, David.
Thank you.
And Pat, I'm going to piggyback off of you because today I am a Chrome user through and through. I rarely use Safari. So when I was preparing for today, and I did kind of a sample screen recording, I did have to go back into my permissions and allow screen recording for Chrome. So I'll share my computer here. I'm going to show you a little bit of iMovie, which is an application in Apple that should be automatically accessible to you. So the way to find that, if iMovie is not already downloaded onto your desktop, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the Spotlight search. And what the Spotlight search is a feature of Mac, and you'll find the little magnifying glass at the top right hand of your screen. The command for Spotlight search on your actual keyboard is going to be Command spacebar, and then you'll see the Spotlight search come up. And this is really nice because anything in your entire computer that you're searching for, whether it's an application or a file you might have downloaded somewhere, can typically be found in the Spotlight search. So if it's not already in your dock at the bottom, you can type in iMovie in the search and it should come right up. If it doesn't come right up, you'll probably just have to download that and it'll take a minute. It'll download onto your desktop, and from there you can drag that onto your dock below. So iMovie is actually one of my favorite applications in Mac because it's so user-friendly and it's so available. So right now I kind of have a sample presentation um, uh, downloaded into iMovie. And how I did that was I downloaded whatever content I had onto my desktop, and then I went to My Media up here, and you can just drag in, let's say you have a lecture for one of your classes that's really long, and you want to break that up. You can drag that right into iMovie, and then from there, drag your content down into the storyboard right here. And what's really nice about this is you can see this presentation is very long. It's over an hour. And if I wanted to put this in my class or put it in Blackboard for my students, I would probably want to break it up a little bit to make the content a little more, to flow just a little bit more easy for my students. So how I can do that is I click my movie down here and I double tap where I would like to cut it. And then you'll see an option for split clip. So I'll split that, and you can see it kind of splits your really long movie into two segments. So maybe I would have chapter 1 is this first segment and chapter 2 is this second segment. And then from there you would go to File and Save, and you can download all of these files onto your desktop and upload them into Blackboard pretty easily. So anything else you want to add to iMovie, David or Pat?
I think iMovie is a great application. I personally use it a lot on my phone, the iMovie version for your iPhone, and it's great. But I like the way that you showed this because it is a long video clip that you can split up into smaller ones.
Exactly. And
Mm.
there's a lot of other features that you can see up at the top here. I won't spend too much time talking about these, but you can adjust the volume of your voice. If you click the clip that you'd like, you can you lower the volume of background clips. You can add music to it. You can add filters. You can kind of slow down your voice a little bit, or you could speed it up. So just a lot of great options here in iMovie. Um, and then kind of exiting out of iMovie, another kind of productivity tip here is using screenshotting or screen grabbing, which is going to be the Command Shift 4 button. And you'll see a little cursor appear right here. I just kind of put a crazy math equation in this document to show that instead of copy pasting the entire math equation, you can hit Command Shift 4 and you'll see a cursor pop up. And then you'll just drag a box over whatever you'd like to clip. And then it will screen grab that and you'll see the document on your desktop. So that's just a nice way if you don't want to export a file, you can screen clip something small. And then to follow up on that, Apple also has a screen recording function. that's going to be Command Shift 5. And you'll see this screen come up, and you can adjust what you'd like in your screen, how big or small you'd like it. I personally love this option if you're sharing content in Blackboard or trying to explain something to your students, instead of maybe downloading a lecture or explaining in a different way. You can kind of show your process using screen recording. And then under options, there's kind of, well, Pat, is there an option for audio here? Do you know?
Yeah, so Grace, for that particular feature, that came up under QuickTime.
Oh, QuickTime,
Yeah,
yes.
that came up under QuickTime, so it wouldn't show up here.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, you can show kind of your process with screen recording. You can screen record certain clips online and upload them into your Blackboard course. And then to exit this feature, you would just press the escape button.
And then one thing, Grace, if you do that one more time, just something I wanted to point out here is when Grace does the screen recording and goes to options, when she clicks on that, at the very bottom, it says show mouse pointer. So this is good if you want to record something on the screen, like let's say how your students can access LinkedIn Learning. You can show that mouse pointer so they can kind of follow along visually where to click next.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, it's very helpful for certain lectures and uploading certain content. So yeah, that's kind of what I have in terms of productivity. But if you don't have anything else to share.
Yeah, Grace, I did have a question. In terms of, because I saw how you got that screenshot, is it possible to take that screenshot and add it to my iMovie?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we, let me share my screen one more time. So let's take the screenshot that I just took of this crazy math equation. If I were to open up my iMovie, it's really as simple as taking that screenshot on your desktop and dragging it. Well, I thought it would be simple. Maybe it's not so simple. And dragging it into your My Media. And then actually we can stick this right in between our two clips. And so it
and data sets.
edits together pretty seamlessly. There we go. And you can shorten or lengthen this clip. So it's a very basic video editing software that's pretty intuitive once you play around with it a little bit.
Awesome. Thank you, Grace.
And I think one other productivity tip is if, Grace, if you reshare your screen, starting a quick note, if you press the globe key and then Q, that can open up a quick note really easily. So this is a great way if you need to jot down something quickly, just take some notes about something. This is something that I've used in webinars, for example, like if I'm attending a webinar, I can just jot down some quick notes for myself as I attend.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually keep my quick note open. I pretty much at all times in the corner of my screen because during meetings or if I'm on another tab and I need to make a note of something, this is a really useful and accessible feature just to have on your desktop.
Can you show again how you do that? The quick notes?
Yeah, so that's going to be FN or the globe key, which you should find on the bottom of your keyboard. You hold that down, the FN button, and you press Q. For some people, I think it's a globe. For me, it says FN, but either should work. Thank you for that, David.
Yeah, of course. And Grace, I'll ask you the same question that I did with Pat. Why do you enjoy or like using the Mac?
Oh, I think it's so easy to navigate on a map. You know where everything is. That dock feature in the bottom is really customizable. And so based on your workflow, on the apps that you use most, you can remove or put new apps in your dock, and it helps with ease. It helps with time management. So I think the customizing features on Mac are really my favorite part.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you so much, Grace. That was excellent. So I'll go ahead and kind of round out if you are learning or looking to learn more about the Mac, especially in regards of education. I do want to highlight the Apple Teacher Certification Program. And we have an organization on Blackboard that can help you go through this process. So just to kind of set up some context for this, this is where you can become an Apple teacher, meaning that you learn really how to use the Mac, Pages for Mac, Keynote for Mac, Numbers for Mac, iMovie for Mac, and GarageBand for Mac. So all of these applications, you can learn how to use it for Mac, really for education. And you join a teacher community, and you can also see previous teachers in our cohorts that have gone through this process. And this is available as both a Mac track or an iPad track, and you can also do both. And at the very end, when you are learning all of these skills, you can build your Apple Teacher portfolio. So this is kind of a portfolio that goes over different ways you've used the Mac with some reflection points. And this is an excellent way for you to just become more knowledgeable about using Mac in an education ecosystem. So here's just a quick screenshot of our Apple Talk organization. This organization is open to all, and I'll go over in just a bit how to register for this, but this is self-contained within Blackboard Ultra, and it contains both screen recordings, screen grabs, also a guide of, step-by-step of how to get through this process. So it's a really great organization. I just want to highlight a couple of our Apple Teacher Program Spring 2022 graduates. So I'll play a little bit of this clip, and you can kind of see what they have learned and really how they reflected upon this process. So this is such a great program that we offer here at UDC, really to get started with using the Mac. It walks you step by step on using these applications, but also in the context of education. So if you are interested in signing up for this, I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat box, and I'll
Okay.
also guide you on how to do this. So let me go ahead and share this part. So this will take you to our Calendly page where you can self-register. So let's say that I want to start on the 18th, which is next Monday. So I'll go ahead and choose the starting time. It doesn't mean that it starts at 8 a.m. None of these sessions are live. It just means that this is when it will be open up to you for you to
Okay.
start accessing this program. So I'll go ahead and click on 8 a.m. and I can put my name, my email, my N number. I don't know at the top of my head, so I'll just put
So you
0.
want me to be doing that now, right?
You can do that now. Yeah. So if you'd like to sign up now, just follow along with the link that I put in the chat box.
Okay.
And then you can choose a date that you want to start this Apple Teacher Certification Program.
Let me find that N number.
Yep. And the whole team is here to guide you every step of the way. But once you do enter this organization, it walks you step by step on how to get started. It includes screen recordings from our previous sessions, and you can also really learn some basic tips on getting started with Mac.
0033 6 Just a second.
And before we conclude today, are there any questions? Go ahead.
Okay. I'm scheduled.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'll send you all the getting started information, and then we'll
Okay.
follow up with you as well.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you so much. This was very useful. I want to say thank you to Pat, Grace, David. Amazing work. I look forward to being an expert on Apple.
Yeah, and anytime for anyone on the call or on this recording, if you do want to meet with us one-on-one or even in person, we are on the 6th floor of Building 71. The whole team is also there every Wednesday. So that's also a good day if you want to kind of meet with us. Really, we can brainstorm with you. We've done that many times with other faculty, but I do recommend for anyone watching this recording, sign up for the Apple Teacher certification program, and then we'll help you get started from there as well.
Great stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we will be doing these Apple sessions every month. So if there is a topic that you'd like us to cover, just send us an email or connect with us. But we are looking forward to doing these. Any final thoughts, Grace or Pat?
None for me. Thanks, David. This has been
Nothing
really
for me.
great.
Thank you,
And
everyone.
I
for
also want
listening.
to emphasize that I've been an Apple user for quite some time, and it is a learning process that's lifelong. I'm still discovering new things with Apple every day. So it might seem overwhelming at first, but like David said, we're here to support.
Yep, definitely. So thank you again, everyone, for joining today. We hope that you learned some useful tips to get started with your Mac, and happy holidays, and have a great start of the new year, 2024. So we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.